This is Good Taste Brekky with Chloe on Juice 107.3. Joining me this morning is someone that knows a lot about sport, which is good because I pretend to, but I don't really. And it's nice to have an expert on that can talk to you guys about it. And he just so happens to be my husband, dual international Matt Rogers. The Gold Coast Suns.
All right.
I'm playing you the theme song and you didn't recognise it.
Well, I haven't sung the Suns theme song.
You haven't. You've sung a few other theme songs in your time.
I have. I've sung for a few different teams. I haven't sung for the Suns, but I might be singing for the Suns this year, going on what I experienced yesterday. I was invited to go and check out the Suns facility to meet the coach and meet some players and look at what's brewing for season 2020. And I must say, I was incredibly impressed.
What impressed you the most about the facility?
Well, I mean, the facility itself is amazing. It is, without doubt, can you turn that? The music's putting me off. Without doubt, the facility, it rivals any facility I've seen in the world. I mean, I had the fortunate pleasure of visiting, Premier League facilities in the UK, rugby league facilities here that we had. The Gold Coast Titans had an amazing facility that I had the pleasure of playing in. But this Suns facility is next level. But that didn't impress me as much as the coach and a few of the players that I met. And, one particular player, Jared Witt, who is one of the leaders of the club, I got to spend some time with him and had a bit of a chat. And I could just when a coach comes in, they inherit a side.
Right.
Stuart Dew.
Warts and all.
Yeah, they do. And it hasn't been without its challenges.
Challenges, yeah.
And are players here for the right reason and this, that and the other. And Culture is critical. And it starts at the top. It starts at the top of your club and it filters all the way through. And, the Gold Coast is a great place to live. But, living on the Gold Coast and committing to a football club on the Gold Coast are two different things. I mean, you can come here for a holiday and have a great time. It's not necessarily known as a place you come to knuckle down and work. We had a great culture at the Titans in the first few years that we were there, hoping that it gets back to that at some point this year.
It was reasonably strict, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was strict, but it was governed by the senior leaders.
Right.
And, that's an important part
Which included yourself.
Yeah, myself, Luke Bailey, Scott Prince, Preston Campbell. Some really, really strong leadership amongst that group that sort of pulled it all together.
Makes a big difference,
Huge
right?
difference. Stuart Dew inherited a team 2 years ago. This year, it's his third year coaching this side, and it's around that time where he's starting to put a roster together of players that he wants on his roster, that he can sit in front of before he signs and go and ask them the hard questions. Why do you want to come to the Gold Coast? What is it that, is attracting you? Because, look, let's be honest, it's not the results that's attracting people to the Gold Coast.
Right.
But it's a challenge that the right players will take. Because any player can go to a great club and they can be a part of a great club and just roll on with the success. But to be a player that comes to a club that's struggled
and make a difference
and be a part of the solution to turning that around, that is a huge feather in your cap. And I met some players that have done that. I met Brandon Ellis, who's come up from Richmond, premiership winner.
Yep.
Fantastic young man. I mean, I had a good chat with him. He is loving the Gold Coast, and I could see it in his face, what he's loving so much about the coast, about the culture.
Lifestyle.
The lifestyle and that, but also from a player's perspective, seeing, he's a part of a group that's just won a premiership. He's come to the Gold Coast. He's now playing with a group that's, look, let's be honest, have struggled the last, 4 or 5 years, and he's joined a group of players, and I could see in his face that he's excited about the future. The coach is buoyant about the way that the pre-season's gone. And a lot of people, they sort of criticise the pre-season for, it doesn't matter. It does matter. Can I just let you know, it matters. If you have a bad pre-season, I'll promise you right now, up in Brisbane, the Brisbane Broncos are concerned. They just got beat by the Titans.
Wooden spooners.
Yeah, who are wooden spooners. They would have loved to have had a great game against the Titans, had a good win, going into the season, feeling good about where they are. The Titans are in a very different position. They've had a great win against the Broncos. It's their last game, moving into the finals now. The Gold Coast Suns have had a great pre-season. They're doing really well. They've got another game and then they have a week off and then they're into the season proper. Things are moving in the right direction. They're certainly trending in the right direction for the Gold Coast Suns. And I'm excited about both our local sides here on the Gold Coast, be it the Suns and the Titans. I think they're both moving in the right direction. I think Justin Holbrook at the Titans, he's inherited a side. He's not quite got the side that he would probably handpick himself. That comes from being a new coach in the role. But what he seems to have done is been able to turn the attitudes of a lot of players around and them putting their best foot forward. So excited for the Titans and excited for the Suns. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, look, well, we're going to win premierships in both codes here on the coast, but what I feel like we're going to get, and I think is what all the fans of our local sides want, is they want a team that competes. They want a team that shows heart. They want a team that fights to the death for the victory. You know, in years gone by, it probably hasn't been the case in both codes, but I really feel like after spending time with the Suns yesterday and after seeing, you know, what the Gold Coast Titans have put out on the paddock in this pre-season, I feel like both our national sporting sides are in a really good position to have a good 2020.
Well, that's really reassuring coming from you with your experience as a dual international and being a part of some successful teams in the past. I think it was pretty smart of the Suns to get you in there to pump up the boys a bit. And, you know, I know certainly when you were playing for the Titans, you were the glue, I could see in terms of bridging the gap between administration and players and knowing both sides, you know, and I think you bring a wealth of knowledge to that side of things.
Well, I think it's important to have the right people around your club, whether I'm that or not. It's yet to be seen, or will it be seen? But one of the things that I've always said is you can't outwork a bad attitude. That's the reality. Culture is critical, and it starts at the top and it filters all the way through. And players know if you're committed. And I stepped down from a role with the Titans, I think 6 or 7 years ago. They asked me to come back in and do a bit of assistant coaching role. And I just didn't have time to do it. And, you know, after a year of it, I sort of stepped down and moved away because the players know if you're committed. When I was a player and there was someone in and around the club that were just sort of there, you can tell when people aren't all in. And you need to be all in when you're a part of an organisation like that. And the players feel it. And if everybody's all in and they're all working towards the same goal, we know as a playing group. And it feels good. And it makes you want to strive harder. It makes you want to push harder. That culture is critical. You know, the best clubs are the clubs with the best administrators that bring in the right people and they're all on the same page. I just hope that our clubs, our local clubs, are doing, although it seems like they're doing that now, which is great.
Only time will tell. This is Good Taste Brekky with Chloe on Juice 107.3.